Now, repeat business. This is a fun topic because two reasons, well, three reasons actually. One, repeat business is the cheapest source of business you will get, the best source of cash flow. Secondly, customer loyalty produces benefits because they spend more when they come back. And thirdly, millennials in particular do not trust advertising, they trust word of mouth vastly more. So let's talk about making customer advocates. Let's not talk about spending tons on marketing campaigns. All right. If you want people to come back, if you want people to buy from you again and again, and not just do that, but to talk about you to their friends and recommend you to everybody, in effect, be your free marketing department, you need to do more, you need to exceed their expectations, you need to win their hearts. And as I said before, it's actually not about the money. It's about how you do business. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Some simple strategies, some really cute tactics, stuff that doesn't involve spending $1 million, but does produce an enormous ROI. Now, talk about repeat business. I've actually got in the background here, you can't see him, but that's Martin from Edit on the Spot, one of our ASBAS clients. Man's a genius, and that is an evidence. That's proof of what happens when you actually put some effort in and don't spend money, just do the right thing. Now, if you want to enjoy the benefits, we're going to go through them. Okay, 90 minutes, well, really 45 minutes. We're going to run through stuff you can do in your business every day, right? Just habits, ways of doing businesses, things that you can do in the way of customer interaction that will bring them back. It'll delight them, it'll amaze them, because basically your competitors don't. Okay, it's about attitude and process and getting outside the box. Now, and this is what I mean. This is the theme of today. Today's theme is be a penguin in a duck pond. And by that, look, you think about it. You look around your market, your competitors, look at business in general. It is a pond full of ducks. Everybody pretty much looks the same, walks the same, they quack the same. They're all ducks. If you want to stand out for the right reasons, be a penguin, okay? Be different. Dare to be different, okay? Dare to do stuff that delivers that experience that delights customers, right? This says it all. Why would they talk about you? Okay, little improvements in how you greet and talk with your customers. Your uniforms. Not everybody has to wear the same uniform. Okay, Navy is so yesterday. Right? Your store layout, and by that I don't mean just your bricks and mortar store. I'm also talking about your online store. Right? And everything we're talking about today applies whether you are a bricks and mortar business or a virtual business. Your customer interaction fundamentally is the same. Okay, it doesn't change. Okay, so think about your store layout. How easy is it for you to do business? Okay, client education. How do you educate your clients? Think about that. I'll actually dive into that in a minute in some detail, right? And after sales support. And I don't mean just ring them up, make sure everything's working. It's the whole process and the fact that it is a process and it's a habit. It's not just something you do because something went wrong, okay? It's not about spending money. I will say that again and again and again today. We are not talking about massive investment of dollars. We're talking about changing habits long-term, okay? Oh, having said that, there are two things I'll talk about where I would like you to spend a couple of bucks if you can, and if you think it's going to work for you, but that's it. Right? Small amount. Here's the key. Right? Here's the fundamental thing. You need to understand the business you're in, like really understand it. Now, the example I've got here on the slide is actually one of my clients' business is about 1 kilometre from my house. Like it's literally around the corner down the road. Hairdressing salon. She was doing okay. All right, COVID hit, still doing okay. And then we had to talk about what business she's really in. And the fact is that she's not a hairdresser. It's not about the color and the curl and cut and all that stuff. It's about self-esteem. It's about the fact that her customers, when they walk out the door, feel like $1 million. And she made that the focus of everything she did. Between herself and her staff, that was the number one thing. It's when the customer walks out the door, they feel like $1 million. Right? It was that easy. And suddenly their bookings went, diary started filling up, and it wasn't just the diary filling up, it was the fact that the product on the shelves, all that little stuff that's high margin, good money in it, started walking out the door. All right? And they started having buy-in supply issues because they really literally had nothing left on the shelves. They had people wanting to put their accessories there on commission because they had such a strong clientele who spent money. Okay, so whatever business you're in, think about what business you really are in and make that the focus of everything you do. Okay, it's the focus of your brand, it's how you reward your staff, it's how you measure your own performance. It is everything. Okay, that is key. You want to be a penguin, get this bit right. Now, Value your customers. I'll probably only mention this about 7 times in the next 20 minutes. Okay. We know they're gold. Okay. Value them. Right? And there's a reason that we push this so hard. Okay. Just their preferences, some milestones, their names, something that shows that you care about them, right? That they're not just a number, that it's not just their wallet you're interested in. Because market research will show that 70% of customers feel undervalued and they don't come back and they don't refer. Oh, it's a huge opportunity. All right, that's not only 70% of your customers, possibly, but I guarantee you, it's 70% of your competitors' customers. Massive market opportunity for you to make a difference in the market, right? Make a difference in your business by simply valuing your customers and doing little things that show them that you really care. Because when you do that, they will talk about you, right? They will refer people to you, and the people they're referring to you are generally your competitors' customers, because that's where they otherwise would have gone. Okay, so just diaries, like the CRM here is key. Okay, now I did make the point. I mean, CRMs, you can get some free CRMs, and for this purpose, they're perfect. Okay, HubSpot's got a free version. ClickUp's got a free version. Tips got there's a stack of free ones out there. Find something that works for you. Ask around, punch into our CRM webinars that are coming up, and get some real insight on what's happening in this space. But do it. Do some form of diary, even if it's just a paper, a book, a diary beside the phone. Find a way of tracking your customers and their preferences, and then remember it and bring it up when it's appropriate. Okay. And this is why. Okay, Seth Godin. Now, I don't know if you've seen any of Seth Godin's stuff on LinkedIn or on YouTube. The man is a bit of a genius. Okay, and this is one of there's a lot of cute sayings out there. This is perfect because it's so true. People don't buy goods and services. Right? They buy from you. They buy the relationship, the magic, the joy of doing business with you, because people do business with people. In fact, they do business with people they trust is who they do business with, but they don't do business with a purple left-handed widget. They're doing business with you. So think about that and maximize that relationship and leverage off the back of it, because that's what today's all about. Okay. Now, I've said this before, important events, and this is part of that. Okay, if you want them to feel valued, this is the easiest, cheapest way of showing customers you value them, is remember something significant to them that you know is coming up and you've got diarized. This is not a sales opportunity. Okay, do not treat it as such. In fact, 90% of what I talk about today is not a sales opportunity or a sales focused approach. It is about building relationships. It is about showing people you care about them, and it is about educating them, which is part of that process. Okay. If you want to show them you really value them with these significant events, send them a handwritten card. First thing I want you to spend a few dollars on. Okay. Nobody does handwritten cards. When was the last time you got anything handwritten in the mail? Like, seriously. Even the stuff I get from the real estate agents, it's got a printed signature, as in a auto printed, there's no ink on it at all. It's ridiculous. You want to stand out. You want to be that penguin that people remember for all the right reasons. Do this. Handwritten cards. Small gift if you've got some great merch there that you can hand out. That handwritten stuff, it's powerful. It's simple, and it is remembered, and it's remembered for the right reasons. Okay, people will talk about you for all the right reasons. One other thing I've got mentioned there, give customers access to new product lines. All right, now, banks are probably the worst offender for looking after new customers better than existing customers. Honeymoon rates, special deals, rebates here, all that stuff to bring people in the door. That's great. And as a loyal customer to a bank, don't you feel a little bit ripped off when you see the new guys get all the cool stuff? Look after existing customers. Give them first access to the cool stuff, and you'll be rewarded, right? As I say at the bottom, it's easy. Treat them the way you want to be treated, right? Simple stuff, very simple stuff. Now, product knowledge, I mentioned this earlier, all right? It is key. It's customer power. It's bringing them into the club. Now, let's just pause there for 1 second, and we'll just talk about the whole club thing. Human nature. People want to belong. There's a need to belong. It's very tribal. I mean, last night was the first State of Origin game, played up in Townsville. I'll leave the result alone because it's going to upset some people here who are listening to this. But that's tribalism at its best. Okay, that's what that whole game is predicated on. It's based on, is that tribalism, because people want to belong to something. Think about your business. You want people to belong to your business, so educate them nicely. Okay, keep it simple. I'll talk a bit about that in a sec. Okay, but it's not just what your purple left-handed widget is made out of, or the particular shade of purple. It's about how it solves their problem. Think about that for a sec, because we're in business to solve problems. Okay, that's why we're here. Then tell them how it's going to rock their world, the difference it'll make. Okay. Don't assume they know everything about the product. Certainly do not assume they know everything about how to implement and use the product to solve their problem. So educate them. Keep it simple. Be polite.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please take your seats? We're about to start the next session.
There we go. Curtain call. It's about how it will change their world. Okay. Now, if you do that properly and consistently, your clients will be delighted. We've seen the results time and again where that education process produces difference in business turnover. Okay, because the clients have not been treated as a number. They have not been treated as an idiot, nor have they been treated as somebody who simply knows everything and given no help whatsoever. They have been educated in a way that shows the business owner cares, that he wants to solve the problem or she wants to solve the problem properly the first time, and this is how you do it. You're good with that, off they go. That's the way you build repeat business. Okay, valuing the customer, doing it simply and consistently. And like, speaking of that, simple questioning, okay, I'll keep it simple. You just want to make sure they understand how they're going to be using it, okay? Whether it's a hair clip or a purple left-handed widget or a kingpin on a prime mover, okay? It doesn't matter. Make sure you understand that they understand how they're going to implement the solution, because that way, A, you value them, B, there's no dramas, so C, it doesn't blow back on you. Win, win, win. And your educational material, if you're going to do it in general terms, I'm not just talking about like one-on-one, talking about how they're going to implement this solution. I'm talking about putting it out to the market, establishing yourself as a bit of an industry expert, the go-to person. Because face it, you know your stuff, you know what you're talking about. So why not advertise that? If you're going to do that, and when you do that, video is king. I don't care what channel you use, whether it's YouTube, LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. I really don't care. It doesn't matter, provided the channel you use, the channel your clients are on. Okay, a little bit of research will find that out for you, and away you go. Now, let's talk about video, one of my favorite topics, funnily enough, being on video. We have a client back in town who polishes floors for a living. Very good at it, lovely bloke, salt of the earth, very, very simple, honest guy. And I was speaking at a business breakfast early last year. In fact, it was the last one before shutdown hit us. So it's that March. And we're talking about marketing and about other things and about video. And he loved the idea, but it's like he's shy. Oh, he really is quite a lovely shy bloke. Raw, had no idea. He said, mate, I can't do it. So, okay. I said, okay, that's probably a fair call, but let's just think about it for 2 seconds. You've got a camera, iPhone, it's a great camera in his iPhone. So, well, there's your videos. There's your whole studio right there in your hand. As an idea, let's just do it as a trial. Next job you go to, we'll do a before and after series, right? So just take a video of the room you're doing, talk about what sort of dead trees make up the floor, what you're going to do to it, what you're going to put over the top of it, how it's all going to work, and then turn it off. Okay, 30 seconds, maybe a minute, no more than a minute tops. Okay, turn it off and then do your stuff. Okay, and then when it's all done and dry and finished, come back and another minute. Here it is. Here's what it looks like. This is what we used to finish it. Isn't it beautiful? Nice up close. No scripting, do it in one take, you'll be fine. So he did it. And he went from 5-ish kind of days a week to 5 days solid on the odd 6th day. And then he did something which I thought was incredibly brave and turned out to be enormously successful or stupid, depending on how you look at it. But he did a video on his dustless floor sander. Now, when I think of polishing floors and floor sanding, I'm thinking of lots of sawdust, stuff in the wind, covering furniture, opening windows, getting stuff out, cleaning rooms. Like, what a mess. Yeah, no, not at all. He has this Italian floor sander. The thing has got a vacuum on it like you wouldn't believe. And so he just did his very simple he sort of did a before and during video and explained very quickly, like, camera up. This is me. This is the new Italian machine. It's got this powerful vacuum, great bag. There'll be no dust. Just watch this. Prop this camera up, phone, and then polish the floors. Just went and sanded the floor, like backwards and forwards and diagonals and here and there. And you're watching it live, and there was no sawdust. None. It just it was magic. It was so good. And I'm watching going, wow. His bookings went from 5 days a week to 7 days a week for 6 months. In fact, he stopped doing video because he really couldn't cope with the amount of work that one video generated for him. Amazing. Like, literally, that is just amazing. Video is very powerful. Oh, and the really cool thing about all of that, okay, and this is the key, ladies and gentlemen, this is the key. The super cool thing is that, hang on, let's get rid of this pop-up, is that none of those videos were sales videos. Not one of those videos asked for the business. Not one of those videos mentioned a price. Not one. They were all educational. They were simply, old mate showing people what he did, what it looked like before he did it, what it looked like after he did it. That's it. I mean, it made him, if you want return on investment, he was absolutely gobsmacked. I caught up with him just before Christmas last year and we had a bit of a chat and a beer. And he was so grateful. I said, well, mate, don't, you know, it was just our idea. Without you implementing it, the ideas aren't worth anything. Okay, you killed it. Okay, and he did, because he was just himself. It was simple, before and after, just explaining or educating his clients and his potential clients. That's all it was. And it was the most powerful sales tool he's got. Brilliant. So don't underestimate video. Now, we spoke about this a little earlier, solve their problem. Now, you're in business to solve problems. If you're not solving problems, you've got a job, you don't have a business. Okay, let's just agree on that right at the start and move on. Now, no one likes being sold to, okay? You're there to, someone's talking to you in your business. They're either talking to you online or they're in your face in your shop or in your place of work because they've got a problem that they think you can fix. Excellent. Opportunities. Wow. Solve the problem. Don't pinstripe it. Don't oversell it. Don't upsell it. Solve the problem. Okay, because nobody likes being sold to. I guarantee you, everybody hates being oversold. If you want to lose customers, do that, because they will talk about that left, right, and center. Solve the problem. Now, cross-sell's cool if there's a legitimate need. If in your conversations where you're investigating what the real issue is, you discover additional problems that you can solve, okay, the marketing guys will call those opportunities, whatever. They're problems you can fix. You discover additional problems, bang, you can fix them. Give the client the opportunity to let you fix their problems. You want to build trust and loyalty? Okay, you do that. You want to cement that trust and loyalty. When you can't solve a problem, have the honesty to say so and see if you can find a way they can do it, even if it's not with you. In which case, you're actually solving their problem without solving it. Right? It's all about long-term value. It's all about making big dollars down the track, not $5 today. Okay, so solve the problem. And I had a young team with one of my businesses where we actually spent a lot of time on this very approach, because they were taught the corporate way of upselling and cross-selling and maximizing the share of wallet and sticky this and sticky that. And that's really cool. You will get that over time if you do this right. If you simply solve the problem and you don't oversell, you don't put pinstripes on it, it doesn't need air conditioning, just solve the problem. Oh, those of you wondering about the backdrop, on the sunny Gold Coast today, I think it must be at least 12 degrees. Magic. All right, anyway, moving on. Solve the problem. And sorry, I'm glad I brought up the young team, because this is one thing that I had to hammer out of it, was prejudging. We'd have clients walk into the business and they would form an opinion like that. And we all do it, okay? That first 0.2, 0.3 of a second, you have formed an opinion of the person you're looking at. And I said, that's cool, okay? There's nothing wrong with that, guys, but what you need to do is make sure that you then breathe and don't prejudge them. You may have an opinion, but let it sit for a second. 1 tick. So, prejudgment, okay? And my basic line to the team was this, is that I don't care if they're white, black, yellow, pink, polka dotted, or left-handed. I don't care about their religion. I don't care about their gender. I don't care about their haircut, their clothes, nothing. It doesn't matter, because they've walked in to see us with a problem that they think we can fix. Now, they might not phrase it that way, but that's the nature of the interaction. So when they walk in and we just look at them and go, breathe, count to 3, smile, and then fix their problem the way we taught you to fix it. You don't pinstripe it. You don't undersell it. You just treat them and value the relationship, right? Simple questioning, solve the problem, and then we follow up and make sure the solution sticks. okay? Because prejudgment will lose you sales and lose you customers quicker than just about anything else, okay? It is a huge mistake. Get it out of your system, get it out of your team, okay? Cool. And this is the approach that we kind of took. So I'm quite happy to put this up there. Now, Mary Kay Ash, for those of you who don't know, big cosmetics firm in the States, huge. And this is one of her foundations of her success, is that she makes everybody feel important because she believes that's what they want. And she's dead right. Okay, let's go right back to her hairdresser, right at the start of the presentation. We were speaking about the fact that she was trying to figure out what business she was in. We said it's self-esteem. Right, once we sorted that out, okay, the whole thing just opened up and she started making serious coin and doing it easily in a happy workplace. Okay, this is why. Make people feel important. Right? That's what they're there for. They've got a problem to solve. Great, solve it for them and make them feel important while you're doing it. Okay, you don't belittle them. Okay, you acknowledge where they're at and away you go. Right? It's simple. I'm not saying it's easy. None of these, I'm not at any stage saying anything we're talking about today will be easy to do just like that, because they're not. Okay, I've been doing this for 30 odd years. It's never easy, but it is simple. Okay, and that's the beauty of it. That's why you can do it. That's why it's repeatable. Now, follow-up is where the money's at. Now, that's a good sales technique. Like, you would know, anybody who's been in any sort of sales role will know that when you're making sales, follow-ups is how you make your money. That initial contact from the prospect, you've got to follow it up. They won't come back to you generally. That second, you've got to make sure you follow up to get the sale. But what we're actually talking about today is post-sales, okay? There's a thing called post-purchase regret, okay? Feel free to look it up. It's a real thing. I didn't believe it when I was first told, but it's an animal. It exists. You want to deal with that, especially if you're making big ticket or significant purchases, significant in terms of money or emotional investment, okay? Buying a house is both of those. Buying a car is another one. Major electrical goods. When someone's made a purchase like that through you, so you fixed their problem for them at some expense to them, follow up after you've fixed it and make sure the fix is stuck. Make sure that you've answered their questions, that what you've done is solve their problem, and that if it hasn't, that you've actually made sure the solution works. Right? You want to stand out. You want to be that penguin in the duck pond, ladies and gentlemen. This is the way you go about it. All right. It's that follow-up. It shows that you value them. Okay. And I guarantee you the vast majority of your competitors don't do this. Right? This is not applicable to every business. I'm not pretending that it is. There are some businesses where you are simply like, if you're selling hamburgers, probably not necessary. If you're selling cars, probably not a bad idea. Okay. Keep it in mind. Speaking of keeping things in mind, if you don't have the answer, say so. Okay, we spoke earlier about providing the solution and having the honesty to say you didn't have the solution when you actually didn't have the solution. All right, so just say so. You want to build trust in people. You want people to actually advocate for you when you haven't sold them anything. Do this. When you don't know, say so. Okay, and then don't be afraid to go the extra mile if you might have this. If you might know where the solution could be, help them out. Okay, again, what you're doing is you're building your marketing department, and by doing so, you're building a marketing department that doesn't cost you a cent and brings you business. The return on investment is significant. Okay, so stand your ground. When you don't know the answer, say so and see if you can find a way to provide the solution. Okay. Now, when we're speaking about spending money, this is the second thing. If you're going to spend some money, this is how you do it. Okay, in terms of long-term solutions. Okay, events for your customers where you're showing that you actually care about them, you value them. All right? And that's the theme today, is showing you value your customers to get them coming back time and again. Just pause there for 1 second. I said right at the start that it's about 70%. It's the magic 2/3 number. It keeps popping up in research again and again. 66, 67, 70%, right on that 2/3 of customers don't come back because they're not valued and they don't refer. The funny thing is that repeat customers spend 67% more money than they did the first time around. So you've got customers coming back who spend 67% more, 2/3 more than new customers. Why don't we invest some of that 2/3 more into showing them how much we value them? And it can just be a simple after work one and choose. It can be a barbecue. It can be something with industry. Some of your suppliers come along and talk about what's coming up in their product lines or how to implement their product lines, information nights. These are not sales events. These are information events. Okay. Now, it may well be that you get a ton of sales out of it because people suddenly realize that there's something there they could use. Right, that they didn't, you're solving a problem they didn't quite realize they had, or there's something new coming out which they will need as their business develops. Brilliant. Okay, you've won. That's kind of the whole point of it without being the point of it. All right? But you're not there flogging product. Okay, you're there bringing people into your tribe and showing them that you value them. Okay, remember, people want to belong to something. They want to feel valued. This is a brilliant way of doing it. Now, with your invitations, I don't care how you send them out. It doesn't matter that much. All right. What matters is the follow-up. SMS is your friend. It is king in follow-up because it engages people like nothing else. Emails get ignored by and large. In fact, I was speaking to somebody 2 weeks ago on the Gold Coast, and we were talking about this very topic, and they said their research showed that 14% of emails they sent out for an event got opened. 14% sent to people who may or may not attend the event. So text is key. Messenger via Facebook and Instagram is not quite as effective, but certainly beats email by a mile. All right. So that's how you chase them. That's how you bring them in to show them that you value them. You can borrow that slide if you like, print it up, stick it on your wall, because that's the real underlying theme of everything you should do. Right. You've got to love your customer. Even when they drive you mad, still got to love them because they're paying the bills. Now, consistency, systems and processes. I talked about this a lot yesterday, and I spoke about it even more on Tuesday. Without a doubt, the foundation to business success is system and process. All right? Find out what works, find out what brings people back, and then systemize it. Make it a process that you do every time. Okay, we have some, again, back in the bricks and mortar days, young team. We had one girl who was just brilliant with customers. She had a certain way of doing things. We looked at it, we wrote down how she did it, and she taught everybody else. It fitted nicely within our policies and procedures, so we weren't breaking any rules. It was perfectly legal, and it was perfectly brilliant. My God, she was good. And so I said, okay, great. We just took that, trained her. So she enjoyed what she did. Right? We didn't make a head trainer or manager of this or anything like that. We left her where she was, and we just took what she did and got her to teach everybody else. But the payoff was enormous, right? Because what we were doing is that her way of delivering a customer experience, her way of dealing with customers was excellent. People loved it. And so we duplicated it so we could do that every time. Now, people are human, all right? You won't do it every time, but if you have the systems and processes in place, you maximize your chances of duplicating that excellent customer service. And that's where you want to be at. Okay, so consistency is key, right? Emotions. Oh, wow. I was speaking about this yesterday. Business is all about the numbers, about having the data to make your decisions. Well, I can tell you this for free, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't get the emotions right, you'll have no data. Simple as that. Think about how you want your customers to feel when they do business with you, when they walk in and when they walk out. All right. Think about that. Think about that connection that you're going to have with them. Think about the way the interaction is going to make them feel, and then duplicate it. Make it a recurring event. All right. If you're struggling to, if you want some input on that, if you're thinking, oh, geez, really, what do they really want to feel like when they walk out the door? Give you a hint. Just ask them. They'll tell you. So don't make no mistake about that. They'll tell you very quickly how they're feeling walking in and how they're feeling walking out. Okay, and we'll talk about that in a second in terms of surveys and feedback. All right, but never ever be afraid to ask your customers about what it takes to make them feel valued. All right? Some of the solutions you might not be able to implement, but it'll be there. All right, the answers, the solutions will be there. Okay, and here we go. Feedback. Customer engagement. All right, we've talked about it all the way through about bringing people in, being inclusive, making them part of your tribe. Now, ask them for ways to improve. Okay, you want to have a review system. Google reviews are pervasive. You cannot get away from them. You don't want to get away from them. You want to have a process of dealing with them, whether they're good, bad, or left-handed. If they're good reviews, it's a simple thank you very much. If it's a bad review, make sure it's not fake. If it's fake, get onto something like Removify, get rid of it. And then you simply engage, thank them. If you can implement suggestions, that's fine. If you can't, that's it. But it's not a protracted conversation, right? If you can, put in place a system like Trustpilot or Yotpo, ask for the review, where they ask for the review and the request is couched by way of a questionnaire. So you're getting the feedback you really need rather than a random, geez, I really like dealing with these guys. They've got great uniforms. Okay, that's kind of handy, but it's not terribly useful. Surveys, one-on-one conversations with your customers. They are all important. They're all about engagement. They're all about making people part of your tribe and about getting legitimate feedback that helps you improve. Okay, trick question for the day. In the business journey, from the moment you started through to the moment you exit, when is the key point to start improving your business? Is it A, 1 week in, B, 3 months in, C, after the first 2 quarters, D, at tax time, E, the minute you open the doors? In my opinion, it's E. The moment you start is the moment you start improving. And the best way to improve is to engage with your clients, because they will tell you when it is going wrong. All right. Now, trick with that. Okay. And I've got this as the last point on this slide. Okay. It doesn't matter if you can't implement their ideas. That's not the critical point. Okay. Because some ideas are financially impossible. You may not have the physical space in your shop to do it. There could be a ton of reasons why what the customer wants to have happen simply can't be done. But the key is that what really matters is the engagement, is the fact that you're valuing their opinion, you're bringing it on board, and you're either going to try and implement it or you'll explain why it can't be done. All right? It's all about the engagement. It's about valuing the customer. Now, I mentioned this a bit earlier, actually, simplicity. Okay. We live in a very complex world. It is not getting any less complex. So simplicity is king. It is incredibly valuable. It's not easy to implement. Okay, nothing I've said today is going to be easy to implement. I'm not kidding us there. It takes effort. It will take commitment, but it will, not can, it will transform your business. It will transform the interactions and the relationships you have with your customers and with your staff, and it'll give you market leadership. iPhone, classic example. Look, Samsung, okay, Android, not an iPhone, but what we have here is an enormous number of complex systems in a very complex device with an amazingly simple interface. And that's how iPhone started off. And that's how they grabbed market leadership. And that's how every phone that comes out tries to beat iPhone. That's all that energy, money, time, focus on beating the #1 product. Now, they're not necessarily #1 now by sales or by dominance of the operating system, but I tell you what, they're #1 in terms of the focus that everybody has on improving their own phones. So you make it easy for the customer, you grab market leadership. Okay, and it can be anything you take out of your education material, like jargon, which I hate. Okay, is your written material easy to understand from a customer's viewpoint? Is your shop easy to navigate? Okay, making things simple. Sometimes it means putting stuff in. It's not always. Strip it back to the bare minimum. Classic example of that, I say this every time. We've got some Butte studio lights we bought a couple of months ago now. Don't really need them here today, but at home, they're very important. The instruction booklet for that, seriously, one piece of paper, smaller than my phone, printed on 3 little panels on both sides, 6 panels, 3 on each side, with a couple of pictures and a couple of words. The pictures didn't look like the parts in the box. The words, they may as well have been Greek for all the use they were. Now, my wife and I are not stupid, okay? I'm pretty smart. She's a lot smarter than me. And we put stuff together all the time, and it still took us 10 minutes to put together 2 studio lights. 10 minutes with an instruction book that was useless. Well done, Neva. They could have made it. They could have simply spent an extra $3 on the book and actually made it a bit bigger with pictures that look like the parts and words that actually explain where everything went. So it would take us 2 minutes to put together the lights and save us a lot of frustration and a lot of angst. Although I would have lost my example of how to simplify things. Okay. Now, in terms of simplification, okay, if you'd like some feedback and some ideas on how to simplify stuff, ask your customers. Oh my goodness, what a thought. Ask them. They will tell you where stuff is too complicated or too hard. All right. And same rules as before with customer engagement. You either implement the solution or you explain why not, but you value the feedback and you let them know that you value their feedback. Okay. Know when to stop talking. This is my fatal mistake. Okay. God, we'll just skip down the slide for a bit. Right, my parents, one mouth, two ears. I don't know how many times I got told that, along with, mate, just be quiet for a moment, will you, and listen. Right? And the problem is that when it comes to solving problems, okay, I love it. That's why I'm in business. It's what we do in our business here is we solve problems, okay? And it is a genuine drive and excitement. Like I just get so fired up about fixing stuff. But that genuine drive and excitement can be fatal. I've blown sales out of the water in many years in finance and in consulting where I simply talked too much. Now, today it's not a problem because I actually have to talk for an hour. So that's cool. I'm happy. Yay. But in a sales opportunity, think about the 30-70 rule. Okay, where 30% is you talking and 70% is you listening to the client. And your 30% is not 30% in one hit at the start. Try 15 and 15 or 5 and 10 or whatever, just break it up. Okay. And with that initial engagement with your first lots of questions, make them open questions. Okay. Get the customer to open up about what the problem really is so that you make sure that you provide the correct solution. And in relation to that, make sure, hang on, where are we? This is the one I want. Make sure that they know that you've understood. Okay, it's not enough that you listen. It truly isn't. They've got to know that you've understood what you've been talking about. Okay, so once they've understood that you understand, okay, once you've got that agreement that everybody's on the same page, then bang, solution done. Okay, that's when you provide the solution because they're ready to listen. They'll take it on board. And you know what's going to happen. Okay, you know what's going to happen. They're going to walk out the door with your purple left-handed widget. They're happy as Larry because you fixed their problems. They're going to tell their mates about how good the interaction was, about how nice the staff were, how they listened to what the problem was, and they fixed it. And they just fixed it. They didn't oversell. It was just beautiful. And there's your free marketing team in action, bringing their friends along. Okay, it's the easiest way of valuing customers that I've ever found in 30 years in business. Now, go a couple of pages. There we go. Complaints. Let's talk about complaints for a second. You're going to get them, okay? Some will be fake. We spoke about that earlier. Here's a fun fact. Only 4% of people in Australia will complain to you face-to-face. And for most of them, not for all of them, but for most of them, they are way outside their comfort zone. So to do so, they are pissed, all right? They are really upset to have to go to that stage, right? The other 96%, they'll do it online and they'll have a red-hot go at you and you'll never see them again. What that is a massive opportunity to build some customer loyalty. Okay, you might even get a really powerful advocate out of it. And it's simple, not easy, but it's simple. Okay, just ask them what the solution is. Listen to what they've got to say. Acknowledge that they've got, there was a problem there clearly, or they wouldn't be there standing in front of you telling you how unhappy they are. And then ask them to provide a solution. All right. Don't justify, for goodness sake. Oh my goodness. Do not justify what went wrong. Do not justify your position. It doesn't matter what you do. You can't win. You won't win. Don't do it. Listen to what they've got to say. Get some advice out of them or some suggestions in terms of how you can fix it. Look at your side of the table and see what you've got on the table to fix it, and then fix it as quickly as you can. All right. And thank them for the interaction. If you can't fix it, say so. Explain why it can't be fixed, and then find another way around it. All right. Now, trick for young players. Okay, the last two lines in this slide. This is again something I got from my young team that I had. They were coming to me almost every day with client issues, and that it wasn't necessarily a product issue or a client issue. It was just a niggle. It's a new business. It was the nature of the industry where there were going to be things going wrong that somebody else in the industry had created, and we had to fix. And they kept coming to me. And to be honest, that got very boring very quickly because I had a lot of other things to do, and fixing little problems was not one of them as far as I was concerned. So we looked at what the problems were. We looked at what sort of authority I could give them and how much money I was prepared to have them spend on my behalf to fix these problems. And we said, all right, got them all together and say, okay, cool. All these little niggles, this little stuff going on here, there, and everywhere. Here's the sandbox, all right? Here's the rules. This is what you can do. This is how much money you can spend without coming to me. Right? You've got authority to do this. You know what happened? Problems all went away. And it's not only like it cost me a couple of dollars on occasion, but that's cheaper than having a disgruntled customer or wasting, or my time going into it when it could have been fixed at the counter. But it wasn't just that. It was the fact that the customer walked in with an issue, and instead of being told, I've got to go see the manager, or the boss is out, or sorry, I can't help you there, I'll get somebody else to fix it, the problems got fixed at the counter when they were raised. So we had customers who walked in with an issue, problem was solved on the spot by an apparently junior staff member who was not afraid to use some muscle and get stuff done. Okay, from the client's point of view, that was pretty amazing. So suddenly it all got smoothed over. And you know what the clients did? Give you one guess. They walked out the door and told their friends about how cool it was. They had an issue and that wasn't real flash, but geez, they fixed it really well. It was just the kid on the counter fixed it. Right? Bang, done, sorted. Didn't have to go to the man, didn't have to wait for anything, it was just done. It's powerful, okay, when you empower staff. And on the other side, and we'll talk about this in a second about happy teams, it was a win with the staff. It actually caused less problems. I'll tell you why in a minute. Counterintuitive, I know, but I'll tell you why in a minute. All right, memorable customer services. We've been talking about it all morning. Okay, good customer service, good products, good pricing, that's the minimum. That's the customer's right. They deserve that. Memorable customer service is what they will share. So, as I've said all day long, talk with your customer, understand what's important to them, and then deliver it. Okay, don't get so focused on the sale that you forget that they're there with a problem that you have to solve. All right, strong relationships, long-term customers, additional opportunities, free marketing team. It is there for the taking. All right, literally there for the taking, because your competitors don't do this. They simply don't. All right, we spoke about that a second ago. Here's something to remember. Remember, Seth says they're not there for the product, they're there for the magic. It's there for the relationship. People don't give a rip about your purple left-handed widget. They don't care, not at all. All right. What they're interested in is what it will do for them, how it solves their problem. That's what's cool. That's why they're there. So when you're talking with your customers, remember that. They don't care about the product. They care about the solution. How it's going to change their world. That's why they're going to buy it off you. That's why they're there spending money, because you can solve their problem. Stay focused on on the ends, not on the means. Now, humor. I have the world's worst dad jokes. In fact, I've got about 706,000 of them. All right. It's a good way of breaking the ice. It's a way of building relationships. It removes barriers and it is remembered. Okay. Give your customers a story to share. All right? It relaxes that interaction. Okay. Now, it's not always appropriate. I'm not saying tell the joke every time, but just try and keep some humor in your day. Okay. It will make that relationship long term. Okay. It's just a little bit more cement in that relationship. Now, having said that, let's just skip forward a couple again to, where are we? Oh, I've missed it. Hang on. Okay, we'll get to it. It's okay. Inclusiveness. Okay. When we're talking about customer events, bring in industry people, don't be afraid to share what makes your business special. Okay. Tell them why their experience is a quality experience, why your product does it better than everybody else's. Okay. And by doing so, you're bringing them into the team. Now, it sounds a bit counterintuitive. Share trade secrets to build your trade up, because there's always a risk they'll go to the competitors and competitors will copy you. Yeah, well, good luck to them if they can do that. And there's other ways they can find that information out anyway, and they've got their own problems to work out. But your customers, when you give them that inclusiveness, you're trusting them. Okay, that's a two-way street. And people do people with business they trust, and they will advocate for your business when they trust you. Right? So don't be afraid to explain what your secret sauce is, why you're that little bit of magic in their life. Right? And again, part of that, we mentioned this before, give them first access. Okay. It's a way of showing how much you value them. Okay. No, and it's no strings, right? That last line, no strings. This is about education. This is about letting people know what's coming down the track. All right. Don't drive it as a massive sales event. It's about saying, here it is. This is what's coming up. First access to new information. All right. VIP clients only. Right. Oh, one little thing. Okay. And it's a little thing because a lot of our interactions now are by email or done via chat bots and IVR systems. But when you pick the phone up and it's human to human, spark it up. Okay. Make it memorable. Don't be boring about it. All right. Focus on the call, smile a bit, and make it enthusiastic. And again, people will remember it. They will talk about it. This is what the whole theme of today is about, being memorable and having people talk about you for the right reasons. Vanilla, it's a milkshake flavor. Don't be vanilla. Do not. All right. Handwritten notes. Look, I'll skip over. We mentioned this before. Okay. If you want to build connections, this is the way to do it because nobody else does. All right. It's a couple of dollars, it's a couple of minutes, and it will pay off. Now, this is kind of a bit left field, but I actually use this very effectively to build long-term relationships with my clients and to get additional business in the door. Is that we have a network of people who do what we don't do. Okay, now I know enough accounting to be dangerous, so I don't do it. I know enough law to be dangerous, so I absolutely don't do it. HR, I've got HR experts. So when somebody comes to me with a problem which is outside my box, then I simply pick out a little black book and pick one of the 2 or 3 people who can actually help, and off they go. All right. You do that. The one trick with that is that there's a framework between myself and my referral network. Is that if I send them somebody, I'll let them know the person's coming, and they let me know how the interaction went, good, bad, or sideways. So that if there is any issues, I'm forewarned. I'm not blindsided by anything. All right. Important to do that. And again, that's about trust and building relationships. But it's also about showing your clients that you value them. So when you can't solve the problem, off you go. You've half solved it for them. Happy days. Okay. And be genuine. Now, in case you're guessing, don't. What you see today is what you get with me 99 times out of 100, and the 100th time it's probably because I'm asleep, not talking. Right? Please don't do the whole game face, business face thing. Okay, people will see through it, and they are weary of that. What they want is genuine interactions with real people. Remember right at the start, I was talking about video and about my friend, the floor sander. His videos were successful because it was him. It was real, raw. There was no real editing. There was no script. There was no makeup, no fancy lights, no nothing. It was raw, and it had believability, and people trusted in it. So be genuine, be yourself. Give the jargon a miss unless it is absolutely necessary. All right. Slip the leash, let your personality loose a little bit and see what happens. It will be good. Okay. Oh, speaking about secret sauce a bit earlier, don't be afraid to stand your ground and explain why cheap has a price. Okay. Don't be afraid to highlight the differences between yourself and the competition, and why, even though they appear to be paying more for your product, they're really paying less because they're getting more for their money. Okay. Cheap always comes at a cost. We know that. That's not a secret. Stand your ground. Okay. You'll get customers who are purely price focused. Cool. If you want to indulge that from time to time, do so. It's your business. Okay. But if you build a business around that, in my opinion, you're making a mistake. There is no long-term value in commoditizing yourself. Okay. There just isn't. Okay. So stick to your ground, explain why you're worth what you're charging. Right? And that brings in that trust factor as well. Okay, you're not simply saying, well, it is what it is, mate, go away. Take the time to explain, and that way you're bringing them on board, you're bringing them into the team, you're sharing some knowledge with them in a nice way. And for the people who are price focused, go rewards. If you've got to drop your price, do it via bundling. Okay, and as I did yesterday and the day before, refer to our friends Williams, the Schumann, Mathers. Okay, they bundle. It's their number one sales trick. Okay, second pair half price. Now, that's cool because the first pair is going out at full whack, and the first pair at full whack is the higher priced pair, and that's where they make their money. The second pair is for cash flow. All right, so they just pay the bills, keep the doors open. All right, so you can either go the bundling route or you go the reward route with loyalty discounts. So you're getting a repeat purchase, and then you're rewarding your VIP customers, which is something we've spoken about time and again. Okay, try to avoid discounting. Try to avoid the tricks that shift people's buying patterns. Try to reward the people who come back and shop with you again and again. Okay. Now, I said this before. Okay. Nothing that I've spoken about today is necessarily going to be easy. Okay. I'm under no illusion about that. Been there, done that. I know it's tough, but it's simple. Okay. To make it easier, you start at the start, which is deciding what your brand is. Okay, what is it that you do? What's your real business that you're in? What is it you want to be known for? You make that the focus of everything. That is the framework that all your decisions are made in. You have, of course, got the data to back up the decisions you're making. That came out of yesterday's webinar. And then you start changing habits so that you can execute excellent performance and excellent customer experience every time. Okay. Again, industry experts. Don't be afraid to share your knowledge, right? You want to be the go-to person in the industry, and it's about trust. And it's about the fact that you're not afraid to stand up and say, hey, listen, we're good at what we do. We believe in our product, we back it, and here's the website to say why we're the industry experts. All right? Building trust all the way through. All the way through. Here we go. This is what I was looking for before. Happy pays the bills. This is one of my favorite slides, actually, because I am generally quite a happy person. Bit of research we did on happiness way back in the day, and the studies that we've seen since just reinforce it. Nothing has changed. Happy pays the bills every time, okay? You end up with staff that are more productive. They're not afraid of mistakes and they make less mistakes. Stop right there, pause. Think back a couple of slides to where we were talking about customer complaints and about how I empowered the team out the front, okay? Our frontline customer-facing staff to fix problems within a certain sandbox. Guess what happened? Less mistakes. They were happier. They had some power. They weren't having to run away and find solutions everywhere. They could fix things themselves, and they started making less mistakes. And our complaint register almost disappeared. It was amazing. In fact, most of the mistakes we dealt with were ones done by other people. They had nothing to do with us. We were just fixing somebody else's stuff up. It was just, sorry, I'm getting a bit carried away, but mate, it was so good. I'll tell you, it was so good. All right. So happy, right? They make better decisions. Right? They are sick less often. Okay. They turn up more. They learn faster. It is just better. It is the number one HR strategy. Happy. All right. Write it down. It's yours. You want to take that away. That's the big one. All right. Keep them happy. All right. It's hard enough life every day outside of the workplace. Make your workplace happy. Okay. You'll be noticed. And see what also happens. Customers notice. They walk in and everybody's happy. Like, what's going on here? Why are you happy? Why are you happy at work? What's going on? They notice it. They talk about it. They bring their friends back. That's what we're trying to do. All right. It's another plank. Now, there's my contact details. If you have any questions coming out of today, by all means, email me, contact, text, phone. I will acknowledge and I will get back to you with some answers. Okay. Thanks to Business Station. Thanks to RDA Brisbane for bringing this to you. And of course, our friends in the Australian government and AusIndustry for funding the whole program. I hope you got something out of today. I really do. This is one of my favorite webinars because what we're putting in place are simple strategies that make you money in a really cool way, a sustainable way. And that's what it's all about. So thanks a lot. Get in touch if you've got some questions, and hopefully I'll see you next week where we'll talk about business mindset.